What if I told you that some of the agents that I've talked to lately who are leaving the industry are not the new agents that didn't, beat the statistic, but agents who have had a ton of success in this industry and now are looking for something more consistent and just really struggling. The truth is that there's two agents that are leaving this industry in droves. It's definitely the newer agents that struggle to get their footing and can't build the business, but there's also the other group of agents who are extremely successful, some of which I consider mentors, that are just struggling right now. And the truth is, we can fix this, and we're going to dive into how. What's up, guys? I'm Jeremy Kane with the Real Estate Agent Playbook at eXp Realty. Thanks so much for tuning in. We are going to get right into this because honestly, this is kind of shocking to me in the conversations that I've had, and they're not just local. They're not just, in other areas that are struggling markets. It's agents all over, agents that have been successful. And not all exits are failure-based. Some are honestly just burnout. And that's something that is a real thing in our society today, and especially in this commission-driven, hustle and bustle, technology-infused business that is real estate. So let's talk about it. Why is this happening? Well, the perfect storm, right? COVID era conditions were absolutely insane. We hardly had a chance to, really perfect our craft because it was going from one to the next, serving the extreme demand that existed. There was low inventory, so sellers, could put their house on the market and we could, adjust if needed, but usually sell it in just a weekend, right? And then speed was the reward. Speed was rewarded over structure. And so much like a lot of agents, the business side wasn't really structured because it was just coming. It was, consistent business coming in, but also what wasn't there is the actual business structure, the finances, the planning, the saving, all of the things that come into play there were absolutely put on the back burner. And now when the market slows down, when homes sit on the market for a little bit longer, and it's not just, 30 days to a commission check when that occurs, the momentum really masked the weak systems that were in place. And now agents that, are still very successful to the naked eye are absolutely struggling because that system needs to be in place financially, business-wise, lead generation-wise, and it just wasn't there. And the real phenomenon is the new business would sustain the growth, right? The systems for past clients and all of that, which I have taken advantage of and luckily had those systems in place. However, a lot of people were just like, okay, new business is here. And the pipeline wasn't as seasoned, it wasn't as nurtured. So you weren't in those conversations, right? Once they got to the head of the pipeline, they raised their hand, we put their house on the market, we went out and looked at homes. Maybe we had to beat out some offers, but ultimately that pipeline was almost moving along naturally. Now, what happened next was absolutely when the market changed, it wasn't as easily to move through the pipeline for agents, for their clients. So then we started to see kind of some struggles. And once that pipeline slowed down, then things changed, right? There was a lifestyle with a system mismatch. Successful agents built lifestyles around peak income, right? Whether it's, the real estate investment, whether it's just frivolous spending, everything was starting to get more expensive at the grocery store, at the gas tank, and our income seemingly overnight turned off. No, it didn't turn off completely for those top producers that I'm talking about, but it certainly slowed down, right? So as those increased income, those things that were staples in our life, right? Our mortgage, the taxes started going up, the insurance started going up, everything was more expensive. And as that pipeline slowed down, the margin for error and the margin for, a home actually going on the market and not selling, or a buyer not being able to qualify or whatever, it really slowed that pipeline down, and it really made that margin of error reduce. And when people get stressed, usually it's financial based most of the time. And as we get those financial stresses, then we squeeze harder, right? Then we push further. Then we become kind of that, used car salesman at times, because we have to put money on, or we have to earn money to put food on the table for our families and those most important to us, right? So the business in that era worked short term, right? Money was coming in, didn't matter the money going out. And we started to get really complacent. And the truth is that the business just could not possibly compound long term based on that, right? Whether it was the first time home buyer side where interest rates started to rise and there was less, approvable, in the pool, that's part of it. But also if there's less approvable in the pool, then those listings, we can't be as aggressive and we don't get the bidding wars. And now sometimes we have to have those hard conversations. So when it all broke and, the volume slowed, right? The income slowed. Expenses still stayed high, right? We still were in this rat race of, okay, we got to, do all of this and get the stager in there and get the photos and all of that. But then when it doesn't sell, then staging becomes more expensive. Then, we need to create more content than we had to do, because now instead of a weekend, we have 60 days worth of content that we need to extend our, value proposition over to actually serve the client and sell the home. And so as that happened, pipelines became more and more unpredictable. Right? Sellers that didn't have to sell were happy leaving their home at a higher price point, even though it had fallen a little bit. Buyers who, had the opportunity, maybe it's time to buy, they'd go out and they'd look and they'd like, well, we can't make that jump because now that the interest rate's this, it's going to be $1,000 more a month than what we're used to. So maybe we'll rent for a year and save that $1,000 a month. And as we thought, and as the human mind thinks in the consumer side, well, if it's slowing down, the prices are going to come down. The interest rates will come down, right? We heard that all over the place. Well, the prices have more or less stabilized, not come down as much as some would maybe like on the buy side. But that's still a hard pill to swallow for those sellers. So as this kind of happened, it became broken, right? Agents who relied on, multiple six-figure incomes and, everything kind of working in flow and everything flowing through and, money coming in, money going out, and it wasn't really a thing, had to kind of sit back. And those without those systems broke, right? And now they need, I hear it time after time, experienced agent after experienced agent. Maybe I'm going to get a job that, has a consistent salary. It might not be, as much as I could make, but it certainly will be more predictable and I can, kind of cover my expenses. I can start to limit my expenses and do those things and go from there. Well, and I know if you're putting more time into a 40-hour work week or a 50-hour work week that's bringing that consistent check in, you don't have as much time to put into the real estate side. So there are real agents out there that you would be shocked if I mention their names that are actually considering leaving the industry. So as we kind of step back and we're like, well, the market this, how's the market? The market didn't take the business. The market just revealed what the business was built on. And, whether that was the business went down and the actual income went down, or the expenses just went higher and we're continuing to go higher because that's how we scale, right? You have to spend money to make money. That's really what the market revealed, is that, even if it was just a 90-day period or whatever, where we're like, okay, we're doing this, and then all of a sudden it turned and that pipeline slowed, that's when things really got difficult. And agents, honestly are starting to be like, okay, should I just go, be in marketing or do this? We have a ton of skills because those successful agents have built a business based on, marketing and things. But truthfully, was the market just driving and pushing us ahead and pushing us to higher and higher peaks? Possibly. But the ones that didn't invest in real estate and the ones that didn't save, those are the ones that are like, okay, well, maybe I need to shift here. And they start to have this self-doubt and that confidence issue. And the truth is, agents have already left, right? Maybe not agents that I've talked to, because I'm like, come on, let's go. We can do this. We're going to build this. We're going to, reorganize and do the things. Like, that's what I do. And that's what I love to do. And I want to do that. So if you are struggling and you just want to have an honest conversation, not about any brokerage, not about anything else, reach out and let's look at your map and build one. Because unlike other agents who are saying, yes, more people are leaving the industry, I don't want anyone to leave the industry, right? This industry has built amazing success for what I have created for me and my family, and I want that to be the same for you, even if it means a little bit of a change or some reorganization of finances or whatever. There is a path forward, and those that do choose to stay in the industry instead of taking that salary job will absolutely benefit as the markets come back, as we've already seen in the spring here in my market. The market's kind of coming back. Homes are selling. We're having a little bit of multiple offers. We're doing a lot of things that, are good. So let's talk about the exit, right? That's the thing, is these exits aren't like, okay, public failure, I completely failed. They just slowly pull back and they start spending more time on Indeed and start putting in more resumes and trying to do this. All while they're doing that, compounding the problem because they're putting less time into their clients, less time into their production because they think they're on the way out, right? So the truth is they're quietly searching for stability, the salaries, the benefits, the predictable income. And the truth is survival is a response, not a weakness. And I often tell people, your pipeline is there and full, but in this industry, we got so used to the new business and new business coming in, when really it's a nurture problem of the pipeline and an education problem of the pipeline. Yes, the pipeline is not as fruitful as it once was, where we could walk down the street with a 3% interest rate and everybody could afford a home, even though those prices were skyrocketing. That's changed a little bit. And so we have to understand that the survival response is definitely to feel like, okay, well, I'm just going to go make $250 a year at this corporate position. I can do it. I have all the skills. I've done it before. And we need to step back and be like, okay, like, is that actually an opportunity? Or is that going to create a lifestyle that continues in this cycle that you're just not super comfortable with? Because there is still a lot of money to be made in the real estate industry, and there's a lot of people to help and serve. But as agents, we need to understand that it is a little bit of a, let's raise our hand, let's work together, let's dial in some lead generation platforms, let's work on nurturing that pipeline to move forward. So the missed opportunity is truly in that pipeline and that nurturing. Right? Past clients still exist. Past clients need more help now than ever, because I have conversations with my clients every day that aren't just based on, well, it's been 6 months, your home appreciated $100,000, you're good to go, like everything's great. Those past clients still need you, right? Those past clients still trust you. And if you are there as a resource, there's a lot of deals and people that maybe did get into a bad situation and need to get out of it and have a strategy to get out of it. That's where the real estate professional comes in, right? Past clients still own homes. And so as agents, if we can implement an annual review strategy like I talk about on this channel all the time and help serve these clients to make better decisions, the truth is that your past clients is a very small number of the people that are out there that are, considering, hey, maybe my payment's too high, maybe I need to downsize. There's still people having babies, so maybe we need to upsize. So if you can serve that past client that's in a community that they're like, hey, that really helped me. Thanks, gave me clarity. Wasn't great information. I don't love to hear that my home's worth the same amount as I paid for it 2 years ago, and I've paid all this interest, but it's given me clarity. Then they're going to go to the next person and be like, hey, you need to talk to, XYZ, right? Because those past clients will still have influence on people that need to buy and sell real estate as homes sell every day. And so this is where we can kind of start to massage this situation and get back into it, get back on our feet, because once the floodgates open again, there's going to be less agents, regardless of if I can convince them all to stay or not. There are agents that are going to leave, because truth is, not everyone listens to this podcast or this YouTube video. But that's how it is, right? Starting over is going to be a whole other thing, because ultimately walking into a salary job, the economy is what it is. Walking into a salary job is still going to be a pay cut for some of the people I'm talking to, and we still need to manage those expenses. So that's part of it. Granted, as a W-2 employee, you don't have as many expenses in the business, But as we go, we just need to not start over. We need to start going deeper. We need to start making sure that what's right in front of us is what we are nurturing the most. And that's those past clients in that pipeline. Instead of, okay, what's this new lead thing that I can do? What's this shiny object? Do what you do, serve people, bring your zone of expertise to the market and to everything that's going on. And we can get through this piece. Maybe make some adjustments on the personal side, maybe not. But I was absolutely floored when I started having more conversations with agents like I do. And it wasn't just the newer agents that just never got their footing. Maybe it wasn't the extreme top producer. Most of those are doing pretty well, but there were some. And then it's the middle, right? The people that did 10 or 15 or 20 deals at one point and now, are struggling to get to 5 or 6. That's where they're like, okay, what it's just done. Like, technology's taken over and I don't have an option. The truth is you have an option, because this is a service-based industry. We're a long way from AI replacing the real estate agent, because of our ability to be empathetic and problem solve and do these things. Yes, AI is going to take some of your clients, but it's actually a lot smaller of a collection of people than you would think. At least in the short term. So you as an agent can dive back in and go deeper with these past relationships, whether they're past clients or past relationships. There's a lot of serving and impact left for you in this industry. And so then I started, thinking about, okay, these newer agents and, are they doing it? Because certainly there's agents that never are able to go full time into real estate, and they got another job and they got family to take care of and they got the kids and they got all the activities. So the time isn't really there, right? But the truth is, more times than not, if you actually give it your all as an agent, and maybe you're in this situation right now, and if you are, please reach out. I'd love to talk to you. You feel like you're actually dedicating the time, you're actually following through and not jumping from idea to idea, and you're actually executing, right? Maybe it takes a month or 2 or 3, right, to consistently post those Instagram stories or posts or YouTube videos, or do those open houses or make those calls, or whatever your lead generation thing is. Everything works, nothing doesn't. As long as you're not doing nothing, you have an opportunity in this business. But so many people, right, burn out right before it works. They give up, they throw up their hands, they lose that consistency, and it falls off and they're back to square one. And so that's huge. So growth without leverage feels like failure. If you're not making, consistent strides in getting more appointments or things like that, yes, that's what I coach agents on all the time. Okay, well, what do we need to do? Maybe it's a different, pillar we need to start pushing towards, or maybe it's just a different script that you need to kind of go in with. I'm not a huge script guy. I'm a huge rapport guy. So usually I'm like, remove the script, just do whatever you can to help the person right in front of you, and business will start flowing your way. So at the end of the day, burnout is structural. It's not motivational. Sure, it appears like we're just not motivated because we've tried and we've tried and we've tried, but have you been coached on what you're trying? Have you actually put in the reps and made those adjustments to get to where you're going? And if you have, let's talk, right? Let's see, because I coach clients and agents all the time on this specific thing. It's no different than when I was coaching buyers who are making multiple offers and just didn't have the cash to cover that appraisal gap, or, the inspection items that could come up. That it's almost the same thing. Like, okay, guys, we need to continue saving over here. We need to continue, nurturing the bank account so that we're good to go. But we also need to continue taking shots. Maybe we look at older homes that have been on the market for a little bit, or maybe we extend the search area, or maybe we look at 2-bedroom houses with options with a basement or something to add a 3rd bedroom. There's options out there and we can get creative, but sometimes right before we're there and we're able to do it, we're like, never mind, I'm going to go rent a house, or never mind, I'm going to go, work for a builder, right? That was a popular one where agents, put their license on hold and went and worked for a builder. Well, now those agents are starting to come back a little bit because they're like, oh, I can do this. The building world has slowed down, so I need to, create income. And so there's a lot of different complexities to what's going on, but a lot of it is there, right? And the truth is, we're going to burn out eventually if we're just doing the same thing. And even if we are doing the same thing and getting results, if there's no system there, we're going to burn out anyways, because we're putting too much time and effort, and we're on this hamster wheel of production that I like to call real estate, right? And so there is almost a trap as a solo agent, right? You're the hero. You want to be the hero. You want to make sure you have control of everything and all the things. I was that guy before I hired a transaction coordinator to help me with, the files and the things that they're experts on. They're far more organized than I am. I'm way better at going out and talking to people and whatever. They would rather sit behind a computer and keep me organized and kind of, run the show from there. And that's absolutely the truth. And you can't do everything, right? I recently got some coaching from a lady named Kieran in Toronto, and she had this entire system set out. She coached me to help me build it out. We're actually doing an event with her to kind of go through some of those things that absolutely, in this time of the spring where I have listings coming on, I'm able to help agents and coach agents and serve my clients directly because I've added a listing coordinator who's setting up the staging and the contractors and, the marketing and all of that. And then I can do the marketing, I can do the videos, I can do the scripts and go there and do that. But I can serve my clients and my agents at a higher level because I have this person in my team that's helping me with some of the stuff that maybe I'm not the best at. And so that's absolutely the key. Is a lot of agents, when they do get going, they burn out because they're doing everything, right? And so that's absolutely the case. And the truth is, when I'm in my zone of genius with my clients, analyzing the market, looking at their listings, helping them, get under contract as buyers, I'm indispensable, right? But if I have to work on the files and I have to work on the marketing plan and I have to, come up with this and I have to do all the paperwork and the back end stuff, then all of a sudden I become more of a robot. I'm less, in conjunction with those clients and in flow with them. And that's where things kind of get a little bit hectic. So ultimately, don't fall for the solo agent trap. If you are in that flow and things are working, let's have a conversation, because I have a ton of systems, I have a ton of people to connect you with that can absolutely give you that opportunity to scale your business before you burn out, before you give up. So then where does it come in, right? We need to focus on leverage. We preach leverage. We sell leverage every day with a 30-year mortgage and using other people's money to grow wealth and all of that. As agents, we need to have leverage points in our business, whether that's people stepping in, personal assistants, showing agents, listing coordinators, transaction coordinators. We need to utilize that leverage appropriately so that we can go do the things to grow the business, to nurture the pipeline, to nurture our active clients and keep them in the know so they know what's going on, so they don't give up and they don't burn out. So it's a two-way street. And then you have the systems, right? The systems that you can implement and what's going on, and ultimately the environment, right? One of the biggest things that I see when I'm talking to these agents is they feel like they're on an island. They're, at a traditional brokerage or even a cloud-based brokerage, and they just aren't plugging into an environment that's helping keep them going. When they do, they're going to events and they're doing these things, and they're surrounded by other agents who are struggling as well. So it's really easy to go down the rabbit hole and be like, oh, this market sucks and this, and my seller did this and my buyer did this. Like, that's not why we're here, right? So that's absolutely the case, is these systems. Okay, so your environment is key to your mental clarity, to understanding, okay, there's light at the end of the tunnel. And then delegation, right? This is huge. You have to do the math. You have to understand what your zone of brilliance is, what you're good at, what your dollar per hour is. It's not a weakness to delegate, right? In fact, it can better the client experience, so you do get more referrals. It's actually a practice in nurturing your current clients, because everything has a place. There's a professional in every place, right? And so sustainability requires this structure for you to continue to grow this business, for you to continue to pull deals out of the pipeline, because as we've discussed, they're just not coming out of the woodwork like they were in 2020 through 2022. So the truth is, the real goal is not less work. It's more dialed in work. It's putting the right people in places. You don't have to start a team. You don't have to join a different brokerage. You have to be surrounded by the right people And then you have to put the right people in place, whether that's using AI to kind of help with some of those tasks, writing emails, responding, so on and so forth, or it's an actual assistant. I'm not the guy to tell you that, but I would love to look at your business and talk to you about that if you are interested in just looking at the opportunities that may exist, right? It's less fragile when you have a system, when you have a process, when they're working through, there's all kinds of different things. I'm not saying go out and hire an assistant and pay them $100,000 a year. That's not what we're talking about here. As a solo agent, the systems that you build can be easily handed off if they're systematized, they're organized. And that's exactly what our virtual event is about at the end of this month. So look out for that. I'll talk about it more on this channel. The date is not yet fully dialed in, but it will be by the end of February. And that might be something that can absolutely help you grow your business. If you're interested in that, just comment below right now, and I will make sure that I respond to that comment with the link and all of the information to register for that event. Just comment delegation below and I will make sure that I get that to you. And the ultimate goal is we don't want to bottleneck. We don't want to be the gatekeeper for all the things and have, multiple clients all come in at once and us have that client experience go down, because the referrals are really going to be what carries you forward, because people love telling people about their experience, good or bad. And so if we have the right professional people and the right professional service from our business standpoint, we can absolutely do that. So let's ask this question. Why do agents actually quit? It's not because they had a bad day. It's not because they had too many average and draining days. It's because of burnout. It's because they're trying to do too much, or they're trying to do too much of the wrong things that aren't showing results, where people start to do it. The beauty is burnout is preventable. And I can't wait to have conversations with you about helping you. I don't care if you've never sold a house and you're feeling burnout, or you've sold 1,000 houses and you're feeling burnout. We can have a conversation, we can look at the options, and we can go from there, because there is a way out. There's a pathway out there, whether it's creating more income streams, whether it's creating more systems, whether it's just getting set up and getting back to that foundation, because a lot of the problem right here is the foundation is broken. So if you have any questions about that, that's what I love to teach on. That's what I love to help agents with. But I just wanted to bring this out because agents leaving the industry and all this flash and all these headlines, but we just automatically think that, oh, that's not me, or that's not those top producers I see on Instagram actually absolutely crushing it, right? That's just the new agents that didn't make it. The truth is, there's a little bit in all of us, and we have to come together as a community, as a real estate agent community, and help each other out and continue to grow this amazing opportunity that is being a real estate agent. So I hope that this message was received well. It's just a trend I'm seeing, so I wanted to bring it to you guys on YouTube, on the podcast. And please reach out if you've had any doubt, or if you're that agent that's like, oh, that was me. I thought about getting a real job, as some people call it. Real estate's a real job. But I'm looking at changing careers because I just don't know how much longer I can be on this rat race, on this rat hamster wheel. That's where we need to talk. Let's have a conversation. I'm here for you. I hope that I can help you get a win today and every day in the game of real estate. We'll see you next time.